Hey there. If you're tuning in today, you might be feeling a little lost or confused about where your marriage is headed. Are you noticing a shift in your wife's behavior? Maybe she's not as open, affectionate, or invested as she used to be. It can be hard to face, but if you're asking, why does my wife not love me? Or how do I know if my wife doesn't love me anymore? You're not alone. In this video, we'll break down the 10 signs your wife doesn't love you anymore. Stick around, because recognizing these signs could be the first step toward understanding what's really going on and possibly saving your relationship. What does it mean when your wife doesn't love you anymore? When we talk about a wife falling out of love, it's not always obvious or dramatic. Often, it's a gradual distancing, a lack of emotional connection that creeps in slowly. If she's avoiding closeness or withholding her thoughts, it could be a sign that she's emotionally withdrawing. As Dr. Gottman explains, love fades when couples stop investing in each other's emotional worlds. This turning away signals a significant shift in the emotional dynamic of your marriage. How common is it for wives to fall out of love with their husbands? Falling out of love is more common than we'd like to admit. In long-term marriages, feelings can ebb and flow, but when love fades completely, it's often due to years of unresolved issues. According to relationship expert Esther Perel, love is not a permanent state, it ebbs and flows. The key is whether both partners are willing to work through the challenges. If your wife feels emotionally neglected or unheard, it can lead to the painful realization that she may no longer love you. Understanding emotional distance in marriage. Emotional distance is one of the most painful dynamics in a relationship. You might still live under the same roof, but it feels like an invisible wall has grown between you. This kind of disengagement, as Dr. Sue Johnson explains, happens when couples stop turning to each other for comfort or support. Emotional distance begins with unresolved conflicts and unmet needs, making it harder to bridge the gap over time. 10 undeniable signs your wife doesn't love you anymore. 1. She no longer shares her thoughts or feelings with you. If your wife has stopped confiding in you, it's likely a sign of emotional withdrawal. Once you were her go-to for sharing dreams and worries, but now those conversations are gone. Dr. Gottman emphasizes that love is nurtured by mutual emotional exchange. When she no longer shares her inner world, it's not just silence, it's a weakening connection. 2. She starts acting with contempt or disrespect. Contempt is one of the most toxic emotions in a relationship. It's not just anger, it's a sense of superiority or disdain. If she's mocking you, rolling her eyes, or belittling you, this is contempt in action. Dr. Gottman calls contempt the greatest predictor of divorce. It's a deep emotional attack on your character and a sign of long-term resentment. 3. Her interest in your life has faded. When your wife no longer asks about your day or cares about your well-being, it's a sign of emotional detachment. Even if you try to engage her, she may respond with polite nods or short answers, showing a clear lack of investment in your relationship. 4. She avoids physical intimacy altogether. Physical touch is a crucial part of most relationships, fostering closeness. If your wife has started avoiding any kind of intimacy, whether it's small gestures or sex, it's a strong sign she's emotionally pulling away. Dr. Chapman explains that physical touch is a powerful way to communicate love, and its absence often signals a deeper issue. 5. She becomes increasingly secretive about her affairs. Secrecy is a major red flag. When your wife hides her social activities or becomes evasive about her plans, it can indicate emotional distance. This behavior often stems from dissatisfaction or resentment as she begins to live a separate life within the marriage. 6. She starts showing interest in others. If your wife is giving attention to others, whether emotionally or physically, it's a glaring sign she's emotionally checked out. Dr. Shirley Glass, an expert on infidelity, warns that emotional infidelity can be just as damaging as physical cheating because it undermines trust and intimacy. 7. She dismisses or criticizes anything you say. When your wife no longer values your input, it can be deeply invalidating. Constant criticism or dismissal is a sign that she's lost respect for your perspective, which can erode your self-esteem over time. Dr. Gottman notes that criticism is one of the key predictors of divorce. 8. She no longer cares to resolve conflicts. If your wife used to engage in arguments with the goal of resolution, but now seems indifferent, it's a sign of emotional detachment. Dr. Sue Johnson emphasizes that emotional responsiveness is key to healthy conflict resolution. When she no longer tries to fix things, It's a signal that she's emotionally checked out. 9. She threatens to leave during arguments. Frequent threats to leave during arguments are a sign that your wife may already be contemplating an exit. These threats undermine the stability of your relationship and create an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. 10. She is constantly comparing you to other people. Constant comparisons, whether to a friend's husband, a colleague, or even an ex, signal dissatisfaction. Dr. Terri Orbuch explains that these comparisons highlight unmet expectations and dissatisfaction in the relationship. Rather than addressing the issues, she's idealizing others, driving a deeper wedge between you. Her priorities have drastically shifted away from you. If you've fallen off her priority list, it's a clear sign of emotional withdrawal. When her work, friends, or personal time consistently come before you, it signals a shift in how she values the relationship. Dr. Chapman emphasizes that love is about making your partner feel valued, and if you no longer feel like a priority, it's a powerful indicator that her love may be fading. If these signs are hitting home, it may be time to have an open and honest conversation with your wife. Ignoring these issues won't make them go away. It's important to face them head on and decide what the next steps for your relationship might be.